Hello, good evening, and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you in association with the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and indeed Meridian Port Services MPS. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, GPHA. Our media partner on this journey for a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to see all that happened here on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Indeed, we are streaming live on our social media pages on Facebook. We are streaming live at Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. We shall be getting interactive with you today as usual. And so all you have to do is to send your messages and comments ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177. 0559-019-177. At the appropriate time when we get into the inbox, we shall be reading and sharing your comments with the rest of the world. And indeed, when I pick signals from the production team, the time is ripe for us to activate our phone lines. We shall do so for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. Many thanks for keeping us, and please do stay. When we return from the break, we'll continue the show.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS. We connect. You thrive.
All right, so it's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And this week we had a Gambian delegation that visited the port of Tema and then the Amaris terminal. Indeed, GPHA also marked the Francophone week during this week. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
Gambia Ports Authority is in the process of undergoing reform for its ports. To this effect, a Gambian delegation comprising representatives from the Gambia Ports Authority, the Ministries of Trade, Transport, Finance, and other key state actors have visited Ghana. The visit, which included one to the port of Tema and an engagement with the Director General of the Ghana Port and Harbors Authority, Michael Luguje, was to help the Gambian delegation learn from Ghana's success story when it comes to its public-private partnerships in port development. At the Amaris Terminal, a dedicated export terminal at the port of Tema, the Managing Director of Amaris, Alex Atakra, briefed the delegation on operations at the terminal as well as the concessionary arrangements that gave birth to the company. He said the establishment of a one-stop shop for export services has saved economic operators in the country a lot of time and money.
So currently we have an office dedicated for customs to be able to support our business and operations. In the past, exporters would have to go into the port to look for custom officers to come and inspect and release their containers. That is not happening anymore. Now, when you calculate the savings that a customer makes by not moving cargo on trucks from one terminal to the other, you realize that it's quite huge. And so this one-stop shop idea is to assist in trade facilitation, and that's what we've done.
Team lead of the Gambian delegation and administrative head of the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure at Gambia, Ibrahim Sisiao, said key lessons have been learned that will help Gambia in its concessionary arrangement with the private sector.
So the key takeaway is that if you're going in for a concession, you must be well prepared and you have to have an adequate knowledge as to what you want to achieve as far as the concession is concerned. And you also have to build the capacity of your team because it involves a lot of negotiation. You are inviting the private sector. Most of these are international firms. They are well grounded in their area. So as a government, you also have to have the capacity to be able to match them in terms of negotiation.
Ghana as a country is surrounded by Francophone nations, and the three main landlocked nations who use the ports of Ghana to transit their goods into their various countries are all Francophone. It is for this reason that Ghana's Port Authority deems it fit to regularly train its personnel to be proficient in French in order to give them the skill to effectively interact with customers of French nationality and origin. The training department of GPHA is therefore mandated to offer free basic French courses which are open to all staff of the authority. This year, members of the GPHA French School have celebrated their 17th GPHA Francophone Week, which was aimed at ensuring that Ghana's ports become the transit hub of West Africa through the French language. Various activities characterize the celebrations, including dancing and singing in French, essay presentations, quizzes, poems, and plays. The performances were assessed by supervisors and tutors as a reflection of what the students had learned through the period of their course. The participants were also treated to a dinner dance at the GPHA Senior Staff Clubhouse. The celebration ended with a 3-day visit to Togo, where the French students of GPHA toured the port area.
Now, those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. Now we're going global to see what's happening on the international stage.
The city of Haifa is set to become an increasingly significant East Mediterranean shipping hub, with Chinese and Indian firms buying into its ports as Israel normalizes ties with its Gulf Arab neighbors under a U.S. diplomatic push. Earlier this month, as U.S. President Joe Biden visited the Middle East, India's largest port developer, Adani Ports, and Israeli minority partner Gadol agreed to buy Haifa Ports for $1.8 billion. Its founder, Asia's richest man, Gautam Adani, said via Twitter that the deal was of immense strategic and historical significance, and the company is betting the port will become a link to Europe and create new trade lanes with Asia. Ukraine says it hopes a UN-brokered deal aimed at easing global food shortages by resuming grain exports from the Black Sea region will start to be implemented this week. Moscow brushed aside concerns that the deal could be derailed by a Russian missile strike on Ukraine's port of Odessa on Saturday, saying it targeted only military infrastructure. Ukraine's president has denounced the attack as barbarian that shows Moscow cannot be trusted. A global wheat shortage and soaring European energy prices are some of the more far-reaching effects of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, threatening millions in poorer countries with hunger and prompting fears in Europe over heating supplies this winter. The two biggest North European hub ports, Rotterdam and Antwerp-Bruges, handled fewer containers in the first half of this year compared to the first half of the year 2021. However, extended dwell times meant yard density and terminal congestion increased significantly. Ocean carriers initially dealt with chronic congestion by skipping calls and overlanding containers at smaller ports, but the transshipment relay operations have aggravated terminal congestion at the destination hubs. There are suggestions for more use of night shift and weekend work to overcome the supply chain disruptions, and there are calls for shipping lines to adhere more closely to their berthing windows to avoid the bunching of vessel calls and the severe pinch points on the terminals.
So those were some stories from the global shipping industry. It's now time for us to have our word of the day. Remember, the word of the day is a segment that we've introduced to bring to you some terminologies and words that we use every day in the shipping and port industry. Today's word is stevedoring. Stevedoring.
The word of the day is stevedoring. Stevedoring is the process of loading or discharging or offloading of a ship or cargo to or from a ship.
All right, so we're zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at how we can tackle import permit application challenges. Import permit application challenges. Now, if you're an importer or an exporter, sometimes you need certain agencies or institutions to assist you to get the requisite documentation before you're able to export or import into the country. And so tonight, that's the topic we're taking a look at. I'll go straight away and introduce my guests in the studios. To my right is Mr. Emmanuel Yao Kwateng. He's head of Import and Export Control Division at the Ghana the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA. And then to my left is Mr. Samuel Agre. Mr. Samuel Agre is the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you for obliging us this evening. Absolutely. So let me begin with Mr. Agre. And you deal with the FDA on a daily basis, in a quest to export and to import and all that. Tell us how easy it is to get your permits to import or export.
I should say, so far so good. But then there have been other introductions that actually, let me say, with importers, we want to have a seamless and flawless system where you wouldn't have to import your product without any hindrances and all that. But For some time now, well, I've been receiving certain informations and as to how the challenges that they've been going through at the port, and talking to the port officials as to how we can remedy this situation going forward, so that we wouldn't have the situation where you do your import and then you are found culpable of not bringing in what is not permitted, or you face the challenges where your product has not been registered, and therefore you need to go through certain challenges before you clear your goods. Some of the challenges that come is the increase in port permits. That's the import permits with the FDA.
Increase in port permits?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. The fees that sometimes they pay. And you realize that sometimes members, or let me say an importer, has duly registered their products. And yes, so they have to pay permits of a fee that is regulated for them to be able to clear their goods. And the question is, if I've got my products registered and gone through the required processes, why should I have to pay for
a permit to enable you clear goods?
And we have also an issue where containers comes in and products are not registered, and they have to pay certain fees for them to be able to clear. But clearing the goods does not give you a warrant to actually sell the products as it may be. You have to go through the rigorous process for you to be able to register your product, and before you put the product on the market to sell. But unfortunately, we look at the face of the act or the law, whether one is allowed to bring in what is supposed to bring in as an importer. You will first have to look at the face of it. How does it go through before? But this is where most of these importers sometimes we find it a bit challenging, because we don't understand the system as it's supposed to be.
Right.
And looking at the law as it stands now, it tells you that you need to register every product before you bring in those imports. And therefore, if your product comes in and they are not registered, you have to go through those myriad challenges before. And sometimes you have to go through even paying of penalties before you are able to clear your goods. And we see it a bit laborious. And perhaps what we need to look at is having the law being looked at again.
Right.
Because since 1992, I don't think we've done any major
changes to
changes
the law,
in
or amendments.
this law. Because if you look at it, in 1992 or 1982, when these laws were promulgated, you look at the circumstances that surround our economy by then. And if you look at it now as it is, then obviously we need to go back and look at what we can really do to make businesses a bit easy for you to do that. Notwithstanding that too, you also have to look at whether we are truly complying with the system as it may be, because if it comes to whatever that you bring in, for the regulator, they will tell you we need to look at the public or the public safety.
Right.
And therefore, if you don't conform to it, we cannot also give you that chance to do whatever you want to do. And sometimes we say to importers or members within the food sector that it's not everything that we can bring in. Certain areas, we ourselves, we realize that there are no places that we need to import.
Right.
So that when your product comes in and it doesn't fall within the constraint of the law or the regulators' ambitions, then of course your product will not be allowed to enter the market for sale. So the permits falls in line with what has to be done if it comes to the imports. But then, as I said earlier, if you look at the fees that they have to pay before if you look at registering a product and the cost involved and what has to be done, it wasn't the best for us until we met the FDA to at least look at the system again. Otherwise, what will happen is that we would then have to be paying so much for registering the products. And we're able to at least come up with something, which as time goes on, I'll try to explain. But then, if we are not careful, also looking at what is being extracted from the, or what is being levied for an importer to pay in the food sector, we also get to a point that no one would want to go into that business if it comes to importation. So we want to have a system that when you bring in your imports and you are asked to pay this amount, you know from the onset that this is how much I'm supposed to pay to go through the system, and therefore there wouldn't be any changes. But very often we are caught on the line if it comes to whether you've registered your product or not. So therefore we are caught, excuse me, my word, pants down if it comes to those areas. So we will only ask the FDA to look at some of the permits or the fees that they are charging. Especially if you say permits, it doesn't only affect importation. It affects so many things if it comes to product destruction, if it comes to expiry dates and all that, where you have to actually pay a huge fee in getting those things done. But at the port, we are limited, and we also would want to see actually fees comes down if it comes to the import permit. Now, if you look at an area where I mentioned that there, like registration, for instance, where an importer would have to pay 0.8% of the invoice value of the
0.8%. Okay.
Yeah, the FOB price that they bring in. Initially, when this thing came on, we have the opportunity to bring this in, at least rolling out for about 2 years now or more, and we did not see anything challenging about it. Unfortunately, if you look at how the exchange rate has affected us so bad, if you bring in anything that costs you so much of thousands of dollars, then of course, you look at the time that you were paying for that 0.8%, and now you look at it and you see that your costs or additional quotas that has come on board is almost about 40% that you are paying in before you go through the system and all that. So that is where we have a challenge, because if you are not careful, then what we mean is that your import bills would then have to go up. Looking at the other bills that, or the bills that you have to pay in those areas that before you get to the FDA point of view. Now, if you have to look at that again, then one will say that as the dollar build-up keep on going up, then what we have to do is also look at whether the percentages would then have to come down to make things more cheaper.
Right.
But unfortunately for now, we have not gotten to that stage because we've not raised the issue to really discuss what is happening. But now that members are complaining and they are bringing this on board, perhaps we have to go back to the table and then look at some of the figures that are coming on board, because others suddenly have realized that paying 0.8% of your invoice value is so huge, especially when you are bringing goods of about 200,000 plus.
Dollars or Ghana
you have to
cedis?
pay
Dollars or Ghana
0.8% of dollars.
Right.
And you have to pay for that percentages. Then, of course, there's a hue and cry over there, and therefore we have to look at it the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Okay. So I'll come back to you, but let me come to Mr. Kwarteng and find out from you. Tell us, just run us through some of the things that you do from beginning. If I am, let's say, a potential importer and I want to import a particular product, what are the processes I'm supposed to go through, and what is your role, in this?
Thank you, and good evening to our viewers. Yes, I think there's a whole lot of, not misconceptions, but let me say lack of knowledge.
Okay, or understanding?
Understanding, good. Understanding of the system, of the import and export system for FDA-regulated products. I hear people saying that when they come to the port, their clearance do not sail through quickly or smoothly. And from my analysis, it is purely for those who did not register before importing. Mr. Agri spoke about that. If everybody should register his or her products before coming to the port, then there will be no need for anybody to even, you don't have to come to the port. Everything is digitalized and you stay at home and do it.
Right.
Pay FDA fees online, application online, clearance online. We only meet at joint inspection where all of us, FDA is interested in what you have brought physically. And then the importer is also interested in what has come. Yes, so we all meet for joint inspection. So the biggest problem for me is those who refuse to register before importing.
Right.
All right. Registration is the major tool in the hands of FDA to safeguard public health and safety.
Right.
It's an elaborate process, a process where FDA cannot promise our clients, our stakeholders, some magic 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, and then just go, we do away, we finish it, and it is registered. And no, it doesn't work like that. It goes through an elaborate process. The testing alone can never be even 10 days. For instance, if I should do a microbiology test on this water, it takes about 7 days, at least, or 14 days if I have to repeat. You get what I mean? So the registration process cannot be circumvented in any way. We have tried our possible best, FDA, have tried its possible best to make it user-friendly. We've gone through a lot of internal rearrangements. We were talking about a risk-based registration process. Yes, and it has cut down the registration process down to medicines half. Now we can say that at most 6 months your medicines should be registered.
Right.
For food, about 3 months. But that is within 6 months, within 3 months. It means that you can have your registration in a week, depending on the product. Okay? But registration is so important that we cannot joke or toy with it.
Right.
No. So if people come to the port and put pressure on me that you did not register, you've brought it, and you want to go through the system, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Ghana must be protected. Our consuming public needs to be protected. And that's why you spend so much money setting up the FDA. If not, there will be no need for FDA. So please, I will entreat everybody to allow us to do that work, that registration. The problem is coming from the lack of understanding of the system. If you, what I've seen, our major players that Mr. Agri represents, they are not the problem. But majority of importers come into the business without knowing they don't read about it. They don't study they don't learn anything about what they are going to do. So he gets to London, he sees a beautiful product, he tastes it, it's wonderful, and he wants to bring it to Ghana instantly.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. When you have to bring something to Ghana, I'm appealing to all Ghanaians, because we are all potential importers. As soon as it occurs to you that you want to import something, quickly call somebody, contact FDA, let us know what you want to do, and we will guide you through.
Right.
But if you just bring surprises at us at the port, I cannot guarantee that your product will not be delayed. If it is not registered, no registration, no import, I know you will come there. But if every product is registered, then we don't have a problem. And the fees and the charges and other things at the port. I know nobody wants to part with money. Especially
he's talking about the fact that the product is registered already, and when they are about to clear, they would have to pay for a permit before they're able to clear.
Well, for registered products, I think the fees and charges are not a surprise. We don't spring surprises as them, because they know. Importers know that if you bring in rice, it is 0.8. If you bring in medicine, it's 1.8. And these are figures that we thoroughly negotiated for, both sides, back and forth. None of us at the end of the negotiation was happy. We were not happy, we didn't get what we wanted. Our clients were not happy, they didn't get what we wanted, but at least we all agreed that this is the way to go. Let me come back to that. The fees, I think the inputs that FDA needs to do its work, most of them are also imported.
Okay.
FDA is also suffering from the dollar fluctuations and all. All our chemicals are imported. All our sophisticated machines are imported. They are routine maintenance. That is where the cost is. Routine maintenance. It is planned whether it is working or not. Somebody must sometime come from Germany to look at that machine. And it is at cost. And it is at a government of Ghana's cost. And it is affected by the same dollar and all. Okay. The reason why government allows FDA to charge in dollars for some of its services is because these inputs are bought in dollar. Okay. So, yes, we understand times are very hard. But I think nobody is arguing that because times are hard, we should allow anything to come in. We should lessen the number, the frequency of our tests. We should not go to the market and do market surveillance. Let's allow things to go until the system improves. We can't do that. We can't. And we will be checking our responsibility if we did that. Thank you.
No, just a quick one. I just want to find out from you. You mentioned the dollar and the fact that all the things that you have to do, bringing an expert from outside to come and do servicing of the machines and all that, and the fact that it's also affected by the dollar fluctuations and all that. Which of the rates do you use? Do you use the dollar rate itself or the BOG rates?
Bank of Ghana gives us a rate every day.
Okay, so that's the BOG.
For our charges.
Okay, all right, sure. Yes. All right, so Mr. Agri, you heard the submission by Mr. Kwarteng and the fact that they are doing all they can to smoothen the grounds for you to do business seamlessly and fluidly. Do you agree with him?
I largely agree if we come to that area. But then, like he said, most importers are the cause of bringing in this unregistered products. We know largely most importers within my association, for instance, they comply with whatever regulation that they have to go through. And I give them thumbs up for that. But then the myriad of importers out there who perhaps sometimes they have to bring in a container because they travel outside or they are coming home and therefore they have to pack some things for their families and relatives, and you find those products back on the market and they are selling. you could see that the same brand has been registered by someone. But because they are having a promotion out there, and therefore they find it free to buy it for the family. If it comes for home consumption, it should be home consumption. But then you find those products back on the market, and you cannot tell whether this importer A who has registered their products are the one that are bringing in these products or not. And if you are not careful, then the importer who has gone through the process, or rather will be held accountable for what has come into the system. And therefore, FDA will tell you that for that, you, the importer or the one who has registered your product, will have to take on the one who brought in those products to ensure that they fall in line. But we used to have a system where everything that I import, which is registered in my name, should be in my name. So if any other person is bringing in the same products that we don't know for where they are bringing those products, that product must be at least quarantined somewhere until certain regulations aspect of it has been cleared. But then your regulator does not do that. And if I have to do that, then you ask yourself, what is the essence of registering the product I have to register? Because then we have to ensure that as I'm registering the product, no one else is permitted to bring in anything anyhow, except especially if it comes to my product. I'll mention a product like Lucozade, for instance, where we used to have.
Is it a product of one of your members?
Well, I would say it's a general product that one brings in, and this is a product that is an OTC product, over-the-counter product at the drugstore, where you can easily walk in to buy Lucozade, for instance.
No, but it's even all over the place. The shop in front of this TV station.
So when you go to the pharmacy, it's also there. But that's what the analogy I'm trying to make. So if I bring in this product and it's registered in my name, and then other 4 people also go in to bring in the same product, and nothing is done about it, either they register it or they don't register, something goes wrong, and then it's tied to me. Then you ask yourself, what have I done wrong? So invariably what happens is that if it comes to business-wise, it will not be fair for the one who has gone through the process to get this product registered. On the other side, it will also not be fair for whoever is doing the retailing, because when there's a product recall and we don't find the importer for that product, it will be traced to the one that we know that is the one who is bringing in this product. Especially when we cannot identify the batch codes, and then the batch codes are the same. You see, then it becomes a big problem for the one who is going through the process to get the product registered. So we need to look at the parallel import issue very well, especially if you are bringing in this container and those ones. Sometimes we say it's not a problem because they are able to tell who is bringing what and who is bringing. But then when people are importing in large volumes, and we cannot trace who is bringing in that, then it becomes a problem. Coca-Cola, for instance, we bring in Coca-Cola can from either Morocco, from Spain, from the UK. Who is bringing those ones? And sometimes, especially when it's getting to Christmas, for instance, you see all sorts of imports coming in. Because they go through the process of registering and all that, then it becomes a problem for the local company. You see, but there was once upon a time that Coca-Cola was saying that this is what we can do. Before you bring in an import, just take a permit from them, so that they can regulate the market the way they're supposed to, in their own terms, so that it wouldn't be that the regulator would then have to come. Because the regulator, what happens is that if it comes to those areas, they will tell you, if it's legal issue, then you have to take it on. So that permit and authority, that empowerment must be given to the mother company to ensure that they do the right thing if it comes to parallel import and all that. But once we are losing track in going through those areas, then, of course, it becomes a challenge for the local manufacturer, even to set up a plan to also go into the canning of this product and all that. So there's a lot that we need to do in these areas to ensure that importers are not taking...
Yes, Mr. Watton, he just made mention of the fact that there's a saturation on the market with products from other countries and all that. And he says this has become the bane, so to speak, of the local, entrepreneur or importer. Have you sat back to take stock of this particular challenge that some of these foreign products pose to the local, manufacturers and importers?
Yes, thank you. I think some time back, FDA tried as much as possible to police the market for the group that we call the owners of the brand,
right?
The applicants.
Okay.
So, for instance, we go all the way out to make sure nobody else brings, say, Lucozade to the market.
Right.
And it was easy for us. If it comes to the port and it will come through us, and we can say stop. But there was a series of agitations, sometimes court cases and other things. Okay, they are citing the rule of food security. Food security. And on that basis, that was some time back. I remember I had law as Lucozade, Glasgow, I think. Is it McLean Glasgow?
Yeah.
They will sue and then copy me. And I was wondering why I should be copied. I was in the middle of all this tussle. Somebody wants to bring, Lucozade says no. So eventually what happened was that FDA decided that, fine, this is taking our time. I can mention a lot of products where we were caught in the middle, okay, in these tussles. So you waste all your time every day going to court. So we sat down and said, this is not our job. It is not our job. And because for food, the proponents were quoting food security issues. So it was accepted that for food, there can be a monopoly. One person cannot register a food product and say that he's the only one who can bring it due to food security. And that's how the system was changed. So what Mr. Agri is saying is true.
Right.
It was burdensome for us, even though that is what we wanted to do, to protect the authorization holders. But it's become so difficult that we can't go that channel. We will not do all the important things that you want us to do to protect public health and safety. Right. So we let go. Yes, I know some people will suffer. The big companies, yes, they are employing everybody. They have big factories employing. But when it comes to food security, this is what the issues that comes with it. So these people are bringing it. If you look at the FDA laws, the Act has gone through series of changes.
Right.
It used to be 305B of 305B and then 523 of 1996. Then now, the new amended act is the Public Health Act, and it is 2012, 851 of 2012. So yes, Mr. Agri, we are not stuck in the old act. It keeps on changing. We're adding new things. Okay. So the document that the FDA is working with is impacted by a lot of factors. Our clients, the importers are pushing, consumers are pushing, and then we meet somewhere. Wherever, the point where we meet, it is where it is regulatory accepted.
Right.
If it is accepted and it is not going to cause harm to the public, then some of them will be accepted and pushed into our laws. For instance, people advocated, people pushed, and then there was salt fortification.
Right.
Food fortification with vitamins and other things. Salt with iodine. So it is in the law. That was part of the 523.
Right.
So things impact on the law and it changes day in and day out.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes it may affect some people negatively, but it is for the greater good of Ghana. I also want to talk about the fact that people import smaller volume consignments as personal effect.
Right.
Yes, we know industry was complaining because now it is competing seriously with the big guns.
Yeah.
Yes, if you are competing, then you must also go through the same meal.
Absolutely.
So FDA sat down and said, no, personal effects, in quotes.
Yeah.
We saw that some consignments are not personal effects, even though it is not the huge consignment that the big people are bringing, and yet it is not so small for one person, somebody to consume at home.
Yeah.
Eventually, it ends up on the market. So what FDA did was that now we are creating a new registration line for them, which we have done.
Okay.
They are registering, they are going through the same scrutiny as the big ones. So, and then when you come to the port, we've created a new channel for them for their clearance because there are many.
Yeah.
So many people in that business, mostly Ghanaians. So yes, so we have created a channel for them where they go through the ICOMs and clear.
Right.
Without much hassle. So yes, things are changing. Dumping. If you have a vibrant and stringent regulator like FDB in Ghana, there's no way people will just dump anything on our market. The market surveillance, the market survey that we do is extensive to the extent that we do buy products, quietly buy products with our money. Mr. Agri, your people, the products they bring, we go to the market and buy and test. Apart from the ones you've given us for registration or whatever quality evaluation, we do buy with our money and test. So we know that all the oils on the market are good for consumption. They lack that. We know what we have on the market.
Right.
Okay. When it comes to medicines, every year we have a program for most of the medicines for chronic conditions, hypertension, diabetes. We buy them and test, and we know the percentage that is not complying.
Right.
And it's below 3% for Ghana.
Okay.
You go to our neighboring countries, and some 30%. So yes, quietly, we are doing a lot of work, and we need the resources. When you go to America, when you go to UK, you go to even Rwanda, the amount of money that government puts in regulation is huge. If government cannot afford to foot the bill alone, we must raise money from somewhere to support that business because it is so important. Now we are not hearing of our women dying of when they go to give birth and did that. Yes, because regulation stood up, FDA stood up and worked tirelessly to identify the problem and to stand it out. Medicines were coming in unsuitable containers. And before they get to Ghana, they are denatured, they are not working. And that's why when you apply, it doesn't work and the woman will bleed and die. Now it doesn't happen anymore. You don't hear about them. It tells you that FDA is seriously working quietly. So we need a lot of resources. We wish that government alone can provide everything. Yes, and that's why government allowed FDA to use these fees and charges for the services that we render. Okay, if we do not get these fees and charges, then you will not be adequately protected. Your health and safety can never be guaranteed. But if we should get these fees deservingly, we should get the quantums that government thinks we should get, and for that reason gave us. It went through Parliament, it went through Flagstaff House, it went to Finance, it went to the Ministry of Health, and finally approved through a lot of consultations. So these fees are carefully thought of. and it is for a purpose, and the purpose is for public health and safety. So please, let's do the needful and let FDA get it so that we can work for you.
Mr. Agri, you're smiling at Mr. Kwarteng's submission.
The mandate given to FDA,
yes,
no doubt. We actually want them to be empowered.
I just before you continue, I just wanted to find out. He mentioned the fees and charges and all that. And earlier he said when they met, I mean, they were not satisfied, and you guys were also not satisfied. What were the issues?
You see, we know we will come to this point in future where conditions will ask for an increment in whatever fee that we put on the table. But we realize that allowing the percentage, quantum of percentage, should be able to take care of FDA for a very long time to come. Now, if that shouldn't be enough, and we have to go back and ask for more, that I don't think we have to give chance to that to happen. Because, as I mentioned to you, if I have to pay a continuous 0.8% of my 100 containers that is coming into the country over the year, you can just imagine how much I'm paying to the regulator.
Yeah.
But you see, the reason why I was laughing was that all this thing that is happening has been the cause for government trying to shed off its responsibility to the regulator. Because FDA as a regulator need not to raise revenue for government. You see, but this is how it has come. So therefore, whatever that they are doing, someone is sitting behind and pushing for how much they will make to run the economy. FDA as a regulator cannot raise revenue for government to run the economy. They must raise the levies for them to be able to run their operations.
Absolutely.
So if they are taking the money from us and part of it is going to government, obviously.
Is that really the case, Mr. Kwarteng? Are you now acting as GRA officers who take money and then give to government for
Mr.
development?
Agri is talking for us. FDA belongs to government.
Yes.
And government funds FDA's activities.
So their understanding, they would agree with you, is the fact that yes, you need to raise money to run as FDA, and not to have excess perhaps to give to government.
No. If you look at the law, all administrative charges goes to government.
Right.
The administrative charges, penalties, fees, and embedded in our fees is a portion where we have to levy administrative charge. So at the last meeting, what was agreed is that, okay, we estimated our administrative charges, which goes to government. And so the chunk of the money that FDA is making is running FDA. It is running FDA. The chunk, what goes to government will be very minimal, I believe, and there's administrative charges and the rest. So yes, people say that we are not revenue generating. No, we are not. But we are an agency that must run on funds, and the funds must come from the fees and charges, and that is all that we do. But then you look at some occurrences these days that I have noticed. We have noticed that some clients of us have started toying with the system so that they can get away with, I mean, purely trying to dupe the system. And I want to encourage our clients to desist from that, because FDA has, now we are running a digitalized system. Whatever you do in the system, you leave your footprints. And eventually we come back and we find it. And when that happens, it is not very palatable for all of us. So please, look at that. If your FOB is 10 cedis, please try to input 10 cedis. If it is 1,000, make it 1,000, so that God will bless you. Thank you.
I just want to find out from you, Mr. Agri, whether you are satisfied with the level, apart from the issues of fees and charges and some of the challenges that you grapple with that you mentioned in your earlier submissions. I want to find out from you whether you are satisfied with the level of digitization in the course of doing your business, because we know that all efforts are being made to ensure that we avoid paper, human interface, and all those things. The level of data penetration we have in the import-export chain, are you satisfied as far back?
I will say partly yes. If you look at how the system is being run itself, at the port we have so many agencies coming on board to ensure that whatever we do fall in line with regulatory aspects. But then others who are there just to mess up the system or create an avenue where they can easily make money and just walk away. So many introductions at the port really does not inure to the benefit of the importer. One will tell you that we brought in the digital system when the Vice President announced that we are going to digitalize the system to make sure that we run smoothly and there's no problem. I will tell you that there are other agencies that they are doing their work very well. And there are others too that are having problems in still accepting that we are in a digitalized system or digitalized world, and therefore they have to make sure that they also comply. One area is the customs, for instance. Now you see ICOMS in operating these systems is trying to bring everybody on board, all the agencies on board, to ensure that whatever that we input into the system really goes through where we have to pay the agencies. Unfortunately, some of them, their fees are abnormal if it comes to whatever that you are bringing, because when you impute into the system and they know that you are bringing in a cutting of a product, they will still ask you to pay a full amount of, even if it's 50,000, they ask you to pay. They don't even care how much you are bringing into the system. And therefore, we have a problem in that area. Now, ICOMS is making the system work for us. Now, when you go through the customs area, they still have the document pile, and you have to go through the papers to ensure that, or whatever they are looking for, we don't know. Whilst the officer sitting in front of that computer can easily press a punch, and that same document will come up for them to work on. But they will look at the document and still will demand the paper from you. And therefore, you ask yourself, if you walk in through the customs area and you don't bring your documents with you, then you have a challenge over there. Now, there's also another area where there's a container fumigation. And this is an area that, in fact, we went through a lot to let this thing happen. Because at that time when this thing was coming on board, we have the COVID in place. And therefore, we need to ensure that certain things are done. But 2 years before this thing will come in on board, we said no. Because the whole of Africa, we don't see who does container fumigation before the container goes out. They should point to us, one country that practices container fumigation at the port. It's neither here nor there. So why should Ghana go through? They said they are using Ghana as a gateway. And so therefore, we need to bring this in on board. It's another area that is created.
I think the container fumigation thing was premised on health hazards and how to kill germs and infectious pathogens and all that. That was the reason why it was introduced.
So give me one area or one country or how many countries are practicing this.
Perhaps if they are not, but we can lead the way.
But if
they are not, we can lead the way.
If we have to do it,
yes,
that is where we said if we have to do
because
it.
If we are waiting for another country to start before we follow,
we
that
said,
might not be.
We said
why don't we also lead so that someone else will follow?
If we have to do it, so be it. Let us do it. But we should be mindful of the charges that will come now and after. Because we cannot use our port as a money-generating income for individuals to make money and pay part to government and keep the rest for their pockets at the expense of the importer. We cannot continue doing that. Now, if you bring in a container of 20 footer, you pay $15 for going through that system. And sometimes it doesn't work. But you pay because you are paying that money in advance before your container goes out through the system. But if the system is such that you need to pay at the exit point, and when the system is not working, then you don't pay at all. You see? But containers drive through the system and they don't get fumigated, but they are paid for that $15.
Really?
Now, they are asking for $20 to be paid.
No, but
the National Health Insurance is asking that.
Can we really confirm?
I'm telling you, you ask
containers pass through the system and they are not fumigated.
Ask all the trailers. Go let your officer go to the port and check. Let your officer go to the port. Sometimes let them go there, stay there, and check whether things are really working or not. Because you pay money and you don't get service done, it's a big problem.
I think it's a challenge I would like to take myself.
You see, now they're asking us to pay additional $5 for 20-footer containers, making it $20. For what reason? They need to come to the table to tell us that for this reason and that reason, we are increasing this cost for you to pay. Then we will understand whether we need to pay or not. Otherwise, something that we are not sure of.
I think they are premising their increases. I'm not speaking for them. They are premising their increases on the global trend.
No.
Fluctuation in the dollar.
You see, anybody who wants, if anybody.
I saw the letter that the minister
my brother,
and it was published.
I'm telling you on authority that if you want to make money, go to the port. That is where importers are being shortchanged for whatever they have to pay for. Duty is going up, VAT is going up, everything is going up if it comes to paying of charges. And we cannot continue doing that because anything that goes up, we bring it to the consumer to pay. And sometimes when the consumers are fed up, your products sit in the warehouse and they don't sell. We are not happy because we are just to import goods and bring it into the country. We are not. Nobody is happy in doing that. But then we should also be very careful as to how we want this country to go. Because if we are using the port as a generating income for anybody, then we have a big issue. Because if an agency wants to raise money, they tell you, put it here, 0.1 or 0.2% or 1%. And just quantify that. Over 1 million containers coming into Ghana, and they are making that 0.5% or 0.2% or 0.1% or 0.1%. Negligible that you cannot see. But at the end of the year, the billions of dollars that we collect at the port translate into millions of dollars into these people's account. And we cannot continue doing that. We need to sanitize the system. Bring sanity into the system. We should look at all the charges that is coming at the port and then look at the ones that are not necessary. We need to take them off.
Scrap them off.
Exactly what this is what we have to do. So we need to go back and look at all the things that government has put in place and other agencies have put on board on government revenue collections for them to be able to get. So when you look at it, every item that comes in there, there's a code for it.
All right.
And we don't know where the code that figure goes to. So we need to scrutinize that and then sit at the table and then look at all the unnecessary taxes that are over there and take them off so that importers can be free of that.
Okay, so this is our import here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are discussing how to tackle the challenges associated with import permit applications. And with me in the studios, Mr. Emmanuel Yao-Kwating, who is the Director of the Center for Import and Export Control at the Food and Drugs Authority. And also with me in the studios, Mr. Samuel Agre. He is the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. They are the two men we are doing the discussion with tonight. It's time for us to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Gold Super XP Run 95 gives you a smooth driving experience that is less vibrations. Fill up with Gold Super XP Run 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. My goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you are welcome back. We are now going to continue the discussion, and we would also like to activate the phone lines now for you to call in. The number to dial is 020-5528-353, 020-5528-353. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. Pretty shortly, we shall also be going into the inbox to come your way with the messages and comments that you have shared with us this evening. So let me come to Mr. Kwarting and find out. I asked him about the fees and charges. You said you were not satisfied and all that. But we also understand that you had to review downwards your fees. Is that true?
Yes, we did that.
Yes. What occasioned that? And is it really yielding the results for which you did that?
We did that just before the COVID.
Right.
And yes, the effect, because of the COVID,
Right.
we haven't had the full impact of all that we did. We haven't had a normal business year, so we are still hopeful and waiting. What happened? I think if I can reiterate, we just made it easier for our clients to pay our registration fees,
right?
So that you don't have to put all your money upfront,
right?
Before doing importation and the rest, you pay a little, and then. As you
when
import,
you say a little, how much is that?
20% for some of the product. You pay registration fee now of about 20%.
Right.
And then the 80%.
20% of what?
Of your registration fees.
Okay. So you have the registration fee, and all I need to do is to first of all pay the 20%.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when your imports are coming in, we are taking the 0.8, the 1.8,
okay,
and so on.
Okay.
Depending on the product category, it's all to make payment easier. What the effect is that the majority of our clients are excited about that. But where I'm seeing the problem is those who import volumes. Okay, they import volumes, and what they forget is that the more you put on the market, the more you work, you give us. So I don't think anybody has been shortchanged in this process. It has been a process where, for instance, somebody has 300 or 400 or 500 medical products, drugs, different lines from different companies. If that person was to register the 500 or the 1,000, so what we were seeing is that people were registering maybe 30% of their products and they were doing business.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but that can't continue. How can we get the clients paying 100% of all the products that they bring to Ghana? And this is the best way to do it.
Right.
Pay 20% of all the 500 lines or 30 lines or 100 lines upfront.
Right.
And then the 80% is spread over as you import in percentages on your import. And it makes a lot of sense. Okay, but for as I've said, for the bulk one, I think they will still have to come to terms with it. And then also, every decision government takes affects some people negatively, by all means. But if it affects the majority positively, that's where government goes. So yes, some people may be pinched, but it's all in the good interest of Ghana.
Right.
They should try and then bear with us. No registration, no importation.
Yes.
It is a flag star ship that FDA is pushing. We will never stop. And then you were asking whether how is it faring?
Yes.
It will never stop. It is now at 95% success.
Right.
About 95%. So almost all our clients importing are registering.
Right.
Now, the 5% gives FDA the muscle to take very difficult decisions.
Okay.
As compared to where 95% were not registering. When you touch the 95%, there will be an uproar.
Right.
But now we've cut the 100% to just about below 5%. And so it is easier to deal with them. We are seizing, we are re-exporting, we are doing all sorts of things because it's only 5%.
Right.
And it's on the quiet. So I want to use the opportunity to please plead with all our important public. Take advantage of FDA's registration process. The process has been made simple and friendly.
Right.
Those who register with us constantly, the importers, they know those who visit FDA, they clap and they applaud for
Right.
FDA. So for the new ones, our friends who just chance on any product and bring it to Ghana, before you do that, please inquire about FDA's registration process and make sure your products are registered before you bring it. When you do that, your agents, your freight forwarders, your clearing agents will not go through any hassle with FDA. They just stay at home, punch some few keys, and it is done. It's as simple as ABC.
Right.
So why do you want your import clearance to be tedious and difficult for you? Take advantage of registration and it is as easy as ABC.
Let me do some messages now. This one says, good evening. My motive is to report a mayhem which has been irritating my mother since 2016. And the issue here is my dad, may his soul rest in peace, was a civil servant who in the year 2012 traveled with us, his family, to Saudi Arabia. And on the day we returned to Ghana, we didn't get our import packages till date. We haven't received it. And my mom have been moving to and fro the harbor, but still no success in getting it. But our imports too have been registered. He says his name is Umar Sally Young. All right, your message is duly noted. Maybe my producer would link you up with some of the customs authorities at the port, and you probably would have to go there with your mom to see if they can be of any assistance. This one says, I'm Ruben from Tema. My issue is that we are with them at the port, and this initiative is good, but my main worry is education is limited. On Friday, I went to do a thing, that's tax identification number, for my entry before I was told that it's no more. And I'm sure that is so because of the Ghana card linkage. And so, and it says we need more education. I can say that more than half clearing agents don't even know about what's going on. Thanks for this topic. Thank you very much indeed. We're grateful to you, Ruben, for your call. I'm sure that now that you've gotten to know that you cannot register a TIN again, or you can't use your TIN to clear your goods, you need to work on your Ghana card and link it up with your requisite documents, and then you'll be able to do so. This one says, good evening, Mona. Ken, please, I'm Kofi Kwache from Takoradi. Please, when are you inviting authorities of the Port of Tema to your show? Because we need them to explain some things to us. We'll speak with our bosses and see if they can assign some people to come, and then let us know the areas that you would think that you need clarity on, and then when they come, they can be able to deal with that. Thank you very much. And so those are some of your messages. Remember, you can also send us your messages via a dedicated WhatsApp line. That's 0559019177, and we'll be ready to read to the rest of the world. Remember, you can also call in. The number to dial is 020-552-8353 so that we can hear you and see what you have to say about what we're discussing tonight. Remember, we're discussing how to tackle the import permit challenges, import permit application challenges at our port. With me in the studios, Mr. Samuel Agre, he is the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, and indeed Mr. Emmanuel Yakwating, who is the Director in charge of the Center for Import and Export Control at the Food and Drugs Authority. Let me come to you, Mr. Agre, and then I think you seem to have some challenges with the imported chicken.
You see,
what is it?
Very often, we do say that Ghana is becoming a dumping ground for chicken. And for me, I have a very personal view. And I always say that we really have a problem on the ground, which we need to solve before we can talk of
what is this problem?
Import chicken.
Right.
Now, we have two fronts. From the poultry farm, or the import that is coming in, which is unwholesome. Now, if we talk about unwholesome chicken, I will agree. Now, some vessels will load your container, and in the transit point, your container is supposed to be on power. Now, they turn off the power intermittently.
So it affects the quality.
Now, the container gets into this country. And you can smell a foul smell. There's a foul smell on that container. And FDA tells you that re-export that container back. It doesn't even come to the market. So dumping is not there. Now we have other people who import genuine chicken they come through the right process and they come in and then they move them into their warehouses. Now, with these people, I will tell you that we have some Ghanaians in here who are doing poultry farming in Switzerland, in Brazil, in Holland, and even in Germany, partnering their locals to raise that chicken.
Right.
So when your order goes in there, maximum 3 weeks, the container is coming in because this is an area where they are able to raise 10 million chicken within 3 months.
Yeah.
Nobody stores chicken for 2 years or even a year. So when we say that we are bringing in chicken that has been frozen for 2 years and 5 years into this country, it's neither here nor there. The experts know that what I'm telling them is true, but they keep on creating problem for us. Now, we have members who have gone into poultry farming. The problem is the cost of feeding alone, because the implements that you need to put into your poultry farms to raise those chicken is becoming a problem. Day in, day out, cost of feed is going up.
Yeah.
Drugs are going up. So when it happens like that, the farmer who is raising 500 birds will not be able to raise 200 birds the next time they want to go into farming. So these are the areas that we need to talk about. The maize is not there. We need to import maize to feed the poultry farms.
Yeah.
They are not planting the right protein maize because the white maize that we plant are for consumption, human consumption. The yellow maize are the ones that really add up to the poultry farms and then other areas that we need to use them for. But we are not encouraging those ones to be planted. And we are not planting enough of maize to feed our poultry farms. So this is the problem that is happening. Now, if I want to raise 2 million birds for the market, I need to do that in the 3-cycle system, where every 3 months or every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, if my birds are ready, I need to slaughter them and keep them in a cold room. We don't have the cold rooms available for the farmers to use.
Right.
So right from the farm, it goes to the table. Now, when it goes to the table, just imagine somebody who lives next to a farm is not able to afford the farm's inputs. And they will have to go to the cold store and buy 1 kilo of chicken for just about 20 Ghana cedis. And when I go in there to buy a live bird, it will cost me about 60 Ghana cedis. So look at the difference. You see.
So the local ones are not competitive?
Not very, very competitive at all. And therefore, we need to address this issue as a government to make sure that the poultry farms are able to raise birds that can feed us in the next 3 months without importing a single chicken into the country.
Right.
When we're able to do that, import will stop. Nobody is encouraging import of chicken. But then we need to look at the fundamentals that is happening in our country, whether we really want to help the poultry farmers or not. Because we have almost about 2,000 farmers who are raising birds between 200 to about 1 million. But when they get their produce ready, where does it go? Within 3 months, these birds are consumed. We have to wait for the next 3 months before new live birds comes into the system. And then if you don't have good income, you are not able to afford the live bird to eat. So whom are we deceiving? We need to do something about local poultry farmers. Otherwise, we should forget about it.
Absolutely. Yes, Mr. Kwarteng, so we have barely 2 minutes to go. I just want you to tell prospective importers, exporters, what you look out for when they are coming to do business with you, when they are looking for permits for their products. Just briefly.
The number one thing that we look at is your registration status. Have you submitted your product prior to importation for quality evaluation, for testing, and then review, a proper scrutiny to know that it is fit for consumption for Ghanaians. And then also we also want to know where it's coming from. We want to know how the product is
origin.
The origin and how the product is manufactured. So we are interested in the factory where it is coming from. More often than not, we visit.
Right.
To check the quality systems in the good manufacturing practices. So yes, it all boils down to registration. If a product is registered, then import and export does not have much problem dealing with it. Unless, of course, there's an alert for recall or something. But if not, then the assurance that the registration process gives us makes the clearance process very easier.
Right.
So I'm encouraging everybody, before you thought of importing, you should have registered the product first.
Okay.
And then it is easier.
Right.
I also ask our clients to abide by all the FDA regulations because they are made for us.
Right.
It protects our health and safety. If FDA says store the product well, please make sure you have the storage condition right.
Right.
If FDA says that you must have a qualified person handling this process, that should be it. It's all towards an assurance that every product that we have on our market
is apt for
consumption.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Emmanuel Yakwating, Director at the Food and Drugs Authority. Indeed, he is the Director in charge of the Center for Import and Export Control. And indeed, Mr. Samuel Agre, who is the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAC. We're grateful to you for joining us here this evening for this discussion. Listeners and viewers, this is how we draw the curtain on this week's edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Remember, we say thanks to our sponsors, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services. My name is Kennedy Mona. A reminder that the abridged version of the show is aired on Ghana Television every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. God willing, we shall see you again next week with another wonderful edition of Iron Port. Please do stay around and keep watching the rest of our programs. Thank you and have a great evening.